So we've got the Landrunner in the shed. And, I was just looking under it, seeing how I could brace the body mounts, because when I test drove it, the whole thing was wobbling and it was dodgy as. But it turns out I'd only done up one of the 4 body mounts, so I've done all of them up. So that should make it a wee bit better. Even with them done up, it still probably is going to feel quite dodgy. So I'm just going to hit along the back here with the flap disc, weld that on. It's separated here, so I'm going to weld that. Probably will brace it, but I'm going to just weld as much as I can. See if I can get the roof to sit in the corners, and then put the 3 factory latches back on so I can have it squeezed down tight. That should hopefully help it from wobbling as much as it was. And I found the factory FJ throttle pedal thing, so whack that on, and then I hopefully can somehow make the L series throttle cable join to this, so I don't have to keep using a bit of string, because can't drive properly with a bit of string as your throttle. Makes life difficult. She doesn't flex much. Fucking straight into lifting a wheel. Nice. Shut that door. Nice. Doesn't do any better when you drive it up backwards either. Still won't flex. Still just lifts the wheel. I think the shocks are the limiting factor at the moment, by the looks of it. If you bounce on it, it'll get a wee bit of flex out of it. Maybe by the time I put some more weight in the back, triangulated rear shocks, longer shocks, get rid of the sway bar. IFS definitely doesn't help. But it runs and drives. Still got full drive, so I'm pretty happy. I did a bit more welding along the floor, try and strengthen it up a bit. Did the body mounts up. I still haven't welded the back of the cab, just driving from the shed along that flat bit of gravel, making hideous noises. It felt like it was going to fall apart. That's alright. She works. Got some Hori vacuum lines routed at the moment to make the full drive go. But she starts. First click on the key. Throttle cable hooked up to a pedal now. How got it? So it's a bit of a drizzly day today, so I've stuck the Landrunner in the shed, and yesterday, I didn't get it on video, but I put the flat deck on from the other FJ chassis. It's just, I just used the mounts that I already had on it. Can't see because it's dark, but I just welded it in there. Had to make some packers for the front for it to sit up. It doesn't sit level or square. I just whacked it on just because it needed weight, because I can hardly drive that new weight in the rear of it. And this is very likely to change after lockdown, when I can buy some material, put the radiator in the back, batteries in the back. Got to build a roll bar for it because this cab is very flimsy, and if this thing rolls over I'm going to die. So I'm going to build a proper roll cage for it. And this morning I'm working on putting the training tunnel back in. Now obviously it's not going to line up with the factory FJ holes, so I just placed it in there. This is ish where it's going to go, so I'll cut that, put it back in, and then just keep cutting it until it fits in alright. I don't know where I put the factory surf shift bush. What do you call that? The boot. That thing. The surf version of that. So I could probably just sit that on top. Hide my terrible cutting. And it gives it, like, it seals it as well. So I'll probably try and make that work. I'm going to have to do something about that gear stick because it just sits on a really stupid angle in this cab. So maybe just bend it, or yeah, who knows, I'll figure it out. But I'll cut this, put it back in there, see how it sits. So I've got the tranny tunnel bolted in, or half by, and new hole cut around the sticks, and I've just hit the old hole with a flat disc, so I can chuck this bit that I've just cut out of the offcut from that piece, so I'll weld that in there. I'll have to get another bit of steel to cover up this hole, and then I need to go look in the surf to see if I can find the brackets so I can bolt this shifter thing in here. Just cleans it up a wee bit, makes it look a bit nicer. And I need to put my knob back on here. And I took the shifter stick off just under the 4 bolts, took this out, put it in the vise and bent it up, because before this would sit like way back here. So I've bent it so it's a bit more straight up, just makes it a bit more comfortable to use. Still selects all the gears. Reverse is a bit hard because it's non-synchro, but it all works and it doesn't clash around the edges, so pretty happy with that. So a bit of a jump forward in time here. After lockdown, wasn't working on the cruiser because it was on my mum and dad's place, which is an hour away from where I was living, and ended up finding a new place to live. And I've now got a big nice shed to live in, and keep my projects in here. So we've got Sally. She's been around for a long time, been off the road for a long time. Get around to fixing it one day. Can't really be bothered. And we've got the Land Cruiser sitting in front of the computer here. Terrible lighting, but just thought I'd update because we got a jump in the film here, so I'd moved the cruiser to this shed, and then a couple of mates were around. We started cutting the IFS stuff out, and there would probably just be a bunch of random clips of just stuff that we're doing. A couple of nights where we got on Source and had a bit of fun. So you'll see a combination of I was working on the Landrunner, talking about Preston's Safari build, and then here's just Sally, looking mighty fine in the shed.
Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, you piece of shit.
Welcome to Jim's Chop Shop, part 1. We've had a couple of the old brainstorming brews, and I'm going to take 5L out of the cruiser and replace the God's Motor 2.4 in the surf, because I'm sick of fixing the 2.4. Spent far too much money on it. God's Motor being replaced with Big Daddy. This one is a lot easier to take out because it has no front clip on it. It's great.
Because it's already half missing anyway.
Engine crane ready to go. She's going to be a good one. There's no front suspension to get in the way because I took all of that out ready for the old solid axle swap.
Just needs grinding now.
So this thing's going to get the 2.4 in it, which is going to be fantastic to watch. No, I've got an auto locker for it, mate. Where is it? Yeah, got an auto locker. This chassis came with a 4.8 diff in it. I was going to go 529s, but I've decided to go 4.8s now because
God's Motor's so powerful, it'll just drive them, no worries.
Saves me $1,000. I'm rebuilding a diff, but LN65 front axle, which is the same as the LN106 front axle, and I've got IFF hubs.
Can't do it.
Over there.
Brainstorm brews have got to them already.
IFS hubs to make it. Do you know if it's 50mm aside or 50mm overall?
I don't know. I know Safari's proper stuff, not fucking toy Toyota stuff.
Fucking proper stuff.
Nissan.
Nissan.
Love my Nissans.
But this thing, she's going to be a pearler. Had to take the roof off to get it in the shed because she shat too tall. The brainstorming bros have really got to me. This is great.
No, that's just Toyota syndrome. You just get less and less intelligent as you work on them.
Good things are coming.
Yeah.
Jim's Chop Shop. Stay tuned, and we're going to have many fun activities doing many dumb things. Mostly me playing with my Toyotas and making strange concoctions. And
if we get enough fucking interest, we might have to do a welded diff tutorial too.
A welded diff tutorial. How to weld a diff in a Ford Mavric.
Yes.
That's what yours is going to be. Isn't it?
Patrol.
It really is. That's what I'm going to start calling it, the Maverick.
With a Chinga turbo.
Oh.
It's going to love life.
So the 5L with the TD04 on it should go good.
She should make all about 37 horsepower, which is pretty good.
37 horsepower, mate. Come on, it'd be closer to 69 horsepower.
Oh, yeah,
We might have to put it on the dyno and see if it does 69 horsepower.
But that's so expensive, we're just going to road tune it with a screwdriver.
That is correct. Wind it till it goes home, back it off until the EGTs sit about 150 degrees too much, and then call it good. Got everything disconnected?
I think so.
Well, we hope so.
We've got an impact, that's all that matters.
The Ooga doing things. What are we
doing Ooga things?
Oh, we're putting an extra hook on. Lifting lugs. Oh shit. Oh,
shit.
Good one. Very good. Then there's this engine. Like, whoop, out that way. Very good.
This video is proudly sponsored / unsponsored by Landrunner Build. Nice.
And Iron Man 4x4. Boss Man would definitely improve him for this maneuver. This just fucking out there. And then it'll probably just sit over there for a while. I'll just look at it and say that I'll do it. I'm lying.
Then we'll have another few brainstorming brews.
And then we'll start drilling and welding bungs and...
End up free boosting it and blowing it up in about 3 months. Nice. Toyota life.
And... time lapse mode on. We got the old looking truck? No. Build it. What a beautiful. That's just bloody gorgeous. I know. Nice. Jim, look at your phone. Oh, you know.
Look at your phone, mate.
We're engines out. Just beautiful. Looks like she's got a big old bastard heavy duty flywheel on it. Heaps of oil leaks, which is kind of like the main reason why I was thinking about putting this in there, because I can't be bothered fixing the rear main on the 2.4, but oh well. Gearbox, yep, filthy. Now there is definitely heaps room for activities.
Yeah. Keeps room for an AU intake.
AU intake, you reckon? Look, President, I do the vlog.
Yeah, woo!
Yoo-hoo. I got the... Jesus, that's a bright light. So many room for activities. Lovely. Do the old flicky. Wow. Here we go. Jaden's moving out of the shed. We're sick of all of his shit. Preston, what have you bought?
I've bought cool things. Some Nissan parts and a VCT AU intake that is going to get a big Chinese turbo on the side of it and go hundies.
Jim's 2.4, mate.
VCT, AU intake motor, TD42 gearbox, GQ diffs and axles and shit.
And that cunt is going to get stepped in third gear low range so many times. We're going to destroy the axles.
He's gonna love it, mate.
And apparently that's all going to live in the shed.
Yeah, mate.
Oh, same with my Auto Sylvia.
We've got a huge room for activities, mate.
I don't know where it's going to go.
in your bedroom.
I've got enough motors and shit laying around. Oi! Relax. Crazy bastards. So it's the next day. We've got the rear axle and the chassis. This was last night. It's got no springs in it, we're just leaving it on the bump stops because you don't need springs. Still rolls on the bump stops. We need to drag the crane past all this other shit that's on the floor. That gearbox needs to go in there too. I'm gonna lift the front of this up so I can put my axle underneath it so I can figure out what I'm going to do here. I've started cutting the independent stuff out. I was grinding it, but I've only got a battery grinder here, so my battery keeps going flat. And I've just been sitting on my phone because I'm too lazy to do anything. But we need to put that axle under the front of here. Because I sort of want to lift this chassis to the height where I want it to sit, so then I can figure out how I'm going to mount my coils. Because after looking at it, I'd have to put the coil right on the end, right where the shock mount is. And if I get a slightly skinnier spring, it might fit widthways. So I've got 700mm from the outside of each chassis. I forget what that is, but it's like a wee bit more. But I'm moving the axle a fair amount forward to suit where the body's sitting currently. But my steering box is quite likely to get in the way. So if I could turn the arm around and somehow reverse the mechanism in the pump, that'd be the easiest thing. But I don't really know how to do that at all. So I sort of need to sit in there, put it where I want, figure out how I'm going to do it. I've still got to cut more stuff off this side. All of the front diff mounts. But my spring, sort of guessing my spring needs to go right there, which is right in the middle of my steering arm, and obviously when you turn the steering wheel, the arm's going to hit the spring, and no bueno. Because I need to sit the axle far enough forward so I've got clearance for 35s on the guard here. Obviously the easy thing to do would be move the cab back, but can't really be bothered with that. Now if I move the cab back more, it means my shifter is going to be further forward, so I either need to do like a different shifter setup or something, and that's a lot of admin. So I'm doing this, which is also admin. Really don't know why I'm doing it, but oh well. So I've put a grill and a couple of fenders on it now, just to see. I don't know, I was bored really, but the fitment of the chassis, like, it overhangs a wee bit, but pretty frickin' mint, I reckon. Oh, there's a hose there. It's sitting at our full bump at the moment. The chassis is sitting on the diff. So with 35s on it, at full bump, should look pretty good. Hopefully the limited up travel that I'll have, I'm trying to keep it low, and I don't want to have a huge amount of up travel. I'd rather just have heaps of down travel in the suspension. Obviously have a little bit of up travel for bumps and stuff, but pretty much only put the grill on just to get me excited looking at it. Now the wheel currently probably needs to go forward a wee bit more. It's a bit better, we got some light now. You can see the steering arm sitting right on top of the diff, which is not ideal because that's where the spring needs to go. I have no idea how I'm going to mount the shock and spring without them interfering with the steering knuckle or each other, or the pitman arm on the steering box. Probably need to move the steering box like right forward to the front of the chassis here, or find a different steering box, because it looks like the KZJ Prado ones have this arm out the front instead, which would be ideal. Then I need to find one and buy one, which is not ideal. But the way the body's sitting at the moment, massive gap at the bottom of the grill here, which is probably better off for me, because I'll be able to sit the winch in behind the grill. I'll just make like a plate that comes underneath for the fair lead. So my approach angle should be pretty mint, I would say. Oh, we're losing power steering fluid. So I'd like to have not much more in front of this. So you imagine a 35 will come out to like there. So my approach angle, even currently on 33s, is pretty steep. So it should be. This thing's going to be fun as when it's done. And then once I get all the front suspension done, then we'll be working on the rear. Currently on jack stands with, there's virtually empty housing with springs and shocks. But these up arms, need my torch again. So I think in the front I'm going to have my upper and lower arms different lengths, not by choice but just by how it works out. But these upper arms in there, they are far too short and far too skinny, so I'm going to make them way longer, and the lower arms, make them way longer as well, and triangulate it so I don't have to run this panhard across the back, and then being triangulated should flex nice and easy. And then design a deck around all of my needs. I sort of just whacked the one that's on here off of the Land Cruiser chassis that I had, just so I had a deck, because it would look better. I've literally only put like 2 welds on it, and like each corner, so it'll come off real easy. But currently I have heaps of rear overhang, which I'm not too concerned about, because there's going to be nothing in the bottom. Like where the chassis rail is up above that, this deck overhanging is no problem. It's just yeah, no. Figure it out when I do the rear suspension. We're slowly collecting parts for it. Got a air tank, so I'll probably run a pneumatic free spool on the winch when I buy a winch, and just handy to have air for pumping up tyres, or if someone debeads a tyre and you need to put it back on, sort of thing. I've got a auto locker for the rear, picked that up, $100 for a centre and housing, which is ideal. The surf came with the turbo manifold and stuff, so I need to whack that on. I've got an intercooler up there. It's what I was going to put on my surf, but never got around to it, so I'll probably do a different setup on that. What other bits we got? Here's the Mavric build, Preston's Patrol. We've got a rear diff and springs in it now, front diff and springs, the cross beamer half in there. This chassis has been sitting outside on the roof of a container for years, so all of the bolts and stuff are rusty as, so they couldn't quite send them home. So the threads were just binding on it. Then I think over Christmas is in like, I don't know, like 4 days or something. Over the Christmas break, when we've got time off work, he's going to be ute chopping his body, and we'll slap that on this. We've got the 5L for the cruiser, my dead 2.4 Ford intake, which is for this, hence why I call it a Maverick, because it's getting a Ford engine in it. What other bits? I need to buy shocks and tyres, wheels, maybe wheels. I might try and steal some off my mate, swap them. I've got a Bluetooth head unit for it there, because you can't have a comp truck without a Bluetooth head unit. Probably need some bucket seats. The surf ones will do for now, but meh. I've got IFS hubs, which will go on this for a bit of wheel track. Put some Negi 44 wheels on it for width. And on the rear, just put Negi 44s on it. Being an IFS diff, it's wider than that one anyway. And should be wide enough to where I don't fall over. Probably will fall over. But that'll be my lack of skill rather than lack of truck, I would hope. But I'm getting excited now. I can taste it. Need to do a bit more work on the interior here. I need to buy a dash so I can run all my sensors and stuff through it. Probably some window wipers would help. I've got the stock FJ ones. Don't know how well they work or if they work, but that'd be cool if I could leave it stock windows, stock window washers. I need to grab my bonnet. It's not here. Put that on, then I'll get really excited. Got a couple of spare arms that I bought with the high stair kit that's on this diff currently. Got a sheet of metal to do a bit of rust repairs. Just got to pull finger and actually do stuff. I've been grinding away at the IFS setup that's on the front of this currently, because you need to cut all the IFS stuff out the way so I can run shocks and springs. But I'd say that's probably going to be this weekend's mish. I need to buy some plate. Find some plate. So I can put spring perches on my diff and chassis. We do something similar to this, where it's just a circle with some gussets, and then over there a circle with a lump in the middle to hold the spring, and then have some sort of locking for the springs so they stay captive, because it's going to outflex the springs for sure. Probably put limit straps on it, because I don't want to put all the tension on my shocks when it's flexing. Put a bump stop just before the shock bottoms out, and put a limit strap just before the shock maxes out at full droop. So, fun times.